All right, Supercharged Foods right now bringing us our WIAA football wrap-up. It was level 3 of the playoffs, and it was exciting for us to be a part of it. Along with Eric Rogers, I am Rich Reynolds. We'll get to the game that we covered, which didn't quite go the way we thought it would. Not necessarily the outcome of the game, but basically the margin of that game. So we will talk about that. A game that we were not at, but we got to see this team back in level 1 is Sun Prairie, who had been on a roll. They finished off their regular season winning 8 games in a row, won the first 2 games in the playoff, but then they ran into a pretty good team in Fond du Lac.
Yeah, Fondy's pretty darn good. I mean, you're taking down your defending champion Kimberly in week 1, and Sun Prairie just, they had some issues. I mean, they had 4 turnovers in that game, and you're not going to win very many ball games having 4 turnovers, so it was an uncharacteristic game for those Cardinals in that game. And you look at their they had 6 possessions in the second half. 3 of them resulted in turnovers. 1 was a turnover on down, a punt, and then the last possession to end the game. So yeah, not a good showing by the Cardinals.
You can't beat a team like Fond du Lac doing that. A great effort. Colin Schaefer, by the way, who had come back late in the season, 10 catches, 54 yards, a touchdown, so a good game for him, but in a losing effort for Sun Prairie. So that's one area team knocked out. We were guaranteed at least one area team going through. The game that we were at and did was Waunakee hosting Monona Grove. I mean, it was billed as the game of the year. Every seat was taken. There was lots of people standing. It was SRO. It was great. The excitement was all there, and then the game was kind of a dud, especially on the MG side. Waunakee looked so good, especially defensively.
I was going to say, you know, for how many games we've seen this year where they're putting up 67 points a game and you're expecting a lot of offense, that defense showed why they're pretty darn good too. I mean, you're holding MG to 204 yards in that game. Forcing 3 turnovers and a season low in points for the Silver Eagles. And Reed Ryan, I mean, he has got to be the most explosive and difference-making player I've seen this year.
He lived in MG's backfield in that game, and Monona Grove did not get a snap off on the Waunakee side of the field until late in the 4th quarter. Man. That's how good that defense was overall. Sawyer Molly as well. I mean, very impressive defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. He got some stuff done defensively. It's been as great as he's been as a receiver this year. And then Waunakee, they're taking on Brookfield Central this coming week, which was their team they beat 14-13 in the state title game this last year.
Yeah, so that one, I know everyone's going to be looking forward to that one. Unfortunately, we won't have level 4 of the playoffs here on 57 Sports, but that's all right. I mean, check that out wherever you can because that is one huge game. On to Division 3, we still had an area team alive in Mount Horeb-Barneveld, who, by the way, offensively was lighting things up until this past weekend.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic. I mean, running back Malik Winston, who came into this year as one of the best running backs in the state, held to 12 carries, 55 yards, so he didn't get as much as he would like. Caden Lee, the receiver, held to 3 receptions, 58 yards, and Ethan Post, quarterback, just 74 yards through the air.
Yeah, so the Vikings season ends in level 3 of the playoffs. We take a look at some other area teams in Division 4. Lakeside Lutheran, how about them? The team out of Lake Mills, not only winning against Edgerton, who only had 1 loss on the season going into that game, they blew the doors off of Edgerton.
Yeah, so they're heading on to the state semifinals for their first time ever. I mean, a 17-0 lead. You're holding the Crimson Tide to 3 offensive plays up to that point, so three offensive plays. So man, it's just more defense causing havoc in the playoffs right now. When you get to this point in the year and you start saying, "Oh yeah, that adage about defense wins championships" seems to be pretty true.
And it does. Lakeside Lutheran forcing 4 Edgerton fumbles in that football game. That'll definitely help you win. So that's going to be a religious battle of sorts, if you will, in level 4 against Racine St. Catharines. So Lakeside Lutheran with a chance to go on and play at Camp Randall. So pretty big for them right there. Also, we saw in Division 6, Cambridge Falls, an area team that had been red hot, undefeated as well, loses by 20 on their home field.
Yeah, interesting to note how many teams coming into this point in the year had the number 1 seeds were surviving in the postseason, and it was uncharacteristic. And now you're seeing right here in your lower divisions, or smaller division, I should say, Lancaster and Racine Lutheran, the 3 seeds taking on 1 seeds and moving on. As far as Racine Lutheran's concerned, I mean, Tyler Tanner, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns, getting it done on the ground. Cambridge trailed 14-0 after the first quarter, and that's just going to be tough to come back from.
Absolutely. So that's basically a wrap-up of all of the area teams. And looking ahead, again, I want to go back to this Waunakee game, that we saw against Monona Grove. One thing that I think is going to play very well for Waunakee, They took a high-flying Monona Grove defense or offense and just shut them down completely. If they play anything like that at all, and their defense has pitched 6 shutouts so far this season, if they play like that against Brookfield Central, I think that Coach Pat Rice and the Warriors got to feel pretty good about their chances of going back to Camp Randall this year.
Yeah, and to your point earlier about, they didn't, Monona Grove didn't get into Wanakee territory until late in the ball game. Well, that was when those reserves were in. It was 33-0 at that point, and then MG does score that late touchdown against the reserves and makes it, look a little bit better on the scoreboard. But yeah, just a great overall effort. You get those younger guys, those underclassmen, some experience in the postseason, and not only does that bode well for this year, but next year you're looking at those guys already having some of that experience.
Absolutely. Wanakee, not an offensive juggernaut, but I think you got a guy like Sawyer Molly who could really turn on the Jets. Caden Lewis, if Jarrett Wolf can hit those guys, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape in that one. And we're talking about Wanakee for one more week. So for Eric, I'm Rich. This is your Supercharged Foods WIAA Football Wrap-Up.